Hello my friends, we are gathered here today to do the mid-year book freakout tag. Now I know it's not mid-year, it is now August, I'm aware, but I told myself I didn't want to do this tag until I caught up on my Goodreads reading goal, and I'm here. I have caught up. I'm back on track. It's August 1st right now, and I've read 43 books I think, which puts me on track to read 75 by the end of the year. In celebration, we are going to talk about some of the books I've already read, some of the books I'm hoping to read soon, by doing the mid-year book freakout tag. First question is, what is the best book I've read this year? And it also was a huge surprise that I love this book so much. Eleanor Oliphant is Completely Fine by Gail Honeyman. I love this book so much. I was expecting just like a generic contemporary book, but I had no idea that Eleanor was going to become one of my new favorite characters. She is such a beautiful, misunderstood human, and she also just misunderstands the world, and she's so precious. This follows Eleanor, who's in a very boring, mundane life. She doesn't really have anything going on for her. She's also an alcoholic. She has no friends, and I think she's probably on the spectrum, although it's not quite mentioned. She has trouble understanding other people's emotions, and she comes across sometimes in a way that other people are offended by, even though she doesn't mean any offense. She just has some social interaction issues, and she starts interacting with the world, makes a friendship with one of her co-workers, and we discover like her very dark past that left her with PTSD and a lot of trauma. And when I finished reading this book, I just wanted to hug Eleanor and be her best friend. Next is the best sequel that I've read so far this year, which I am not good at reading sequels, especially recently, but a lot of like I'll own a whole trilogy and I'll just read 2 books and then just never carry on. So I've only read 4 sequels this year. 3 of them are Women's Murder Club books, which aren't good. I just read for nostalgia's sake. So that leaves one other option, Ready Player 2 by Ernest Cline, which I actually really enjoyed. I gave it 4 stars. I actually recorded a video about why this book isn't as bad as people said it was, but I never edited or posted it. It's still just sitting on my computer, and maybe one day will come to the internet. But this book is good, and if you like the first book, then I think you should like the second book, unless like you've changed, you know, then maybe you won't like it. But in the first book, it's a virtual reality game, and we're following the main characters competing, and there's a lot of 80s pop culture and virtual video game stuff, and it's a lot of fun. And this one kicks it up a notch because the world is way more troubled and needs help. It's just, and there's another video game competition in this one, so I thought it was good. A new release you haven't read yet but you want to. Well, I have so many new releases that I own, so many that I pre-ordered, and I still haven't read yet, which is so stupid and upsetting. But I'll show you 3. The Final Revival of Opal and Nev by Donnie Walton. I read 150 pages of this book and loved it so much that I put it down because I didn't think I was in the ideal situation to enjoy a book this much. So I really get on my own nerves, honestly. This is definitely one of the ones I need to read this year or else. And then one of my most anticipated books of the year, Malibu Rising by Taylor Jenkins Reid. I actually think I'm going to read this one in August, fingers crossed, but I can't believe I haven't read it yet. And one more, The Library of the Dead by T.L. Huchu. This is about a girl who talks to ghosts in Edinburgh. It just sounds like so much fun. Most anticipated release for the second half of the year, Apples Never Fall by Leanne Moriarty. I don't know what it's about, but it comes out September 14th. She's one of my favorite authors. She wrote The Husband's Secret, Big Little Lies, and a handful of other stuff, and she's fantastic. So I can't wait to see what this one's about, because I'm not going to read the synopsis. I just want to go in completely blind. Okay, biggest disappointment that I've read this year. The Midnight Library by Matt Haig. This won the Goodreads Book of the Year and so many people are obsessed with this book and think it's just the best thing ever. I mean, it was 3 stars. I thought I was going to enjoy it more than I did. I thought I would be more emotionally invested, but meh. Biggest surprise, The Biggest Bluff by Maria Konnikova. I've been reading poker books recently, which I keep talking about, I'm sorry, but this was excellent. She is a psychologist, so this book is poker and psychology mixed together, which are 2 of my favorite things ever, and it was amazing. I learned so much. I listened to it on audiobook, and now I want to reread it physically and like go through and highlight and tab things that I love. There were so many psychology theories and references, and so many I don't know, just great poker discussions. Just the mixture of poker and psychology just really did it for me. I gave it 5 stars, and it's the best nonfiction book that I've read this year. Favorite new author is a stretch, but I really enjoyed the one by John Mars, and I feel like I'm going to keep enjoying him. I have 2 more books to read by him, and then he also had, so these are sci-fi thrillers, and then he also has books that are just regular non-sci-fi thrillers, contemporary thrillers, I guess. And I just feel like from reading this and how it's written that it's just gonna be like, I'll know exactly what I'm getting into when I read one of his books, and they're just gripping, engaging, fun, and I just feel like I'm going to want to read all of his books because the one was a great time, and I know that I'm pretty sure every book he's written on Goodreads has over 4 stars, so I enjoyed it. A compelling dark read that gets you thinking. That is accurate. Newest fictional crush. I don't crush on book characters. Honestly, I barely get attached to books in general. I mean, obviously I love books. I love reading. I love talking about books. But rarely do I just read a book and I'm just like in love with it, telling everybody and crazy for it. I mean, most books I just read and then I put it down and then I just move on with my life, besides, you know, discussing it on here. But that's why I don't even love doing wrap-ups, because I'm like, I read that book 3 weeks ago, I don't feel like talking about it now. But anyways, I don't have a crush on this character, but if I had to pick like a guy, which I don't, but I'm saying it anyways, what's his name? Mark Watney from The Martian. He's genius and he's hilarious, so that's who I would pick. And yes, I just read The Martian in 2021. I'm very late to the party. A book that made me cry. The Girl with the Louding Voice by Abby DeRay. This book follows Adani, who's a 14-year-old girl in Nigeria, and she just has a horrible, awful life. She's put in multiple situations as just a young girl that are devastating, and just seeing how humans can treat each other, which this is fiction, but a lot of the situations are based off of real life things that have happened or happen all the time. And I think I cried. Maybe I didn't cry, but thinking about Adani and her situation and the fact that like this is real. There are girls like her in Nigeria and in lots of places who are, you know, completely out of control of their lives and may never be able to do what they want to do, is just devastating. And it is a book, I don't love reading like really harsh subject matter or things. I'm just sensitive, I guess. But this one, you know, told you all the awful things that were going on without pushing it too far and making it like too uncomfortable to read. So this is such a good book. A book that made me happy. Did I not pick one? Oh wait, I know. Well, 2 things. The Way of Kings, because I finally finished it and it's very good, and I was just happy to accomplish such a task. And then Not a Happy Family by Sherry Lapina made me happy because this is my kind of thriller. Like, I enjoyed it so much. I love Sherry Lapina's writing, but I love characters in thrillers who are just like messed up folks. And everyone was a little bit messed up. Everyone was troubled. Everyone was doing bad things. I love characters who are bad, basically. I love all of Gillian Flynn's books. They're all just people who are doing bad things. That sound weird? Yes, it does sound weird. I don't know. It made me happy because I flew through it in a day. Just the kind of thriller that I wanted to read. Favorite book to film adaptation that you've seen this year? Zero. Oh wait, I did start Behind Her Eyes. I watched like half an episode and fell asleep. So, most beautiful book you've bought so far this year? I didn't really have an answer, but I do love the aesthetics of Sorrowland by River Solomon. Like, I love when people have blueprints hung up on their wall, and this has like that color scheme. I have no idea what this picture is of, but it's so pretty. I just love the blue and white and the font, and it's simple but so pleasing to my eyes. What books do I need to read by the end of the year? I have so many that I want to read, like a crazy amount, an unachievable amount. So Words of Radiance by Brandon Sanderson. All of my pre-orders, I mean, I have to read those, right? And then I would love to read more nonfiction. I really want to read House of Leaves by Marcus Danielewski. Maybe I'll save that one for October because it's scary. I want to read, I have multiple like video TBR ideas that I want to get through. I just want to read so many books. And I think technically I'm only going to read, if I hit my goal, I will only read 32 more books. So I don't know. I'm going to take down my 500 books I want to read into 32 books, so we'll see. And I'll end up probably just reading dumb stuff instead, which is what I tend to do. So anyways, that's all for this tag. Thank you guys so much for watching, even though it's, you know, past mid-year by now. So I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.